I have never seen this amount of misinformation and disinformation surrounding a conflict. The sheer volume is almost hard to even comprehend.
There's been a lot of false claims online since the Israel-Hamas war began. Some of it is misinformation. That's content shared with inaccurate claims, but some have the intent to mislead, disinformation. This is nothing new in a conflict. Take Russia's invasion of Ukraine. But this misinformation expert says it has been especially rife during this war.
One example is this inside job conspiracy that spread on October 7th, on the day of the attack, and it emerged from an Israeli woman who cited her experience as an IDF soldier to claim that this was an inside job. Hamas would not have been able to breach the border without Israel knowing about it. This is not a verified claim, but it has spread quite wildly and rapidly.
On X, formerly known as Twitter, there have reportedly been at least 25 accounts in India posting both pro-Israel and pro-Hamas content during this war. Some of those accounts, which claim to be in India, previously posted about Indian news and culture. Now they've pivoted to posting identical, false, misleading, and divisive content about the conflict instead. So why is misinformation and disinformation about the Israel-Hamas war rampant right now? It starts with encrypted messaging apps like WhatsApp and Telegram. Both of the experts I spoke to said a huge amount of images and videos are shared on these platforms. They can be perceived as credible because the information often comes across as a first-hand account. Then comes the amplification. The claims can be quickly posted to X or elsewhere, where algorithms can fuel the spread and reach of these claims. Here's one example. WhatsApp users started sharing a video that they claimed was footage of Israeli kids being held in cages. They said Hamas was holding them hostage. According to a New York Times report, the claims were false. The video wasn't connected to Hamas and was previously alleged to be video of different conflicts in the Middle East. And finally, there's motivation.
The war in Ukraine, there has been a significant rise in misinformation since that conflict. The war in Israel and Gaza is no different, especially with the strong biases and political leanings on both sides. There's a real intent and purpose to not only create misinformation, but spread it to mislead others.
That's when misinformation becomes disinformation, when falsehoods are shared with the goal of purposely misleading. When it comes to X, this misinformation expert says recent algorithmic changes mean there's more incentive for users to gain followers.
One of the changes we've seen under Elon Musk is Twitter now offers financial incentive for people who are able to receive a lot of engagement on the platform, and often that leads to a pollution of the information environment.
Peden said there can be a resistance for social media companies to weed out some of this content because it can be good for business, and it can make people stay on the platform.
Some of the biggest pieces of misinformation that we've seen this week happen to also be some of the biggest posts and tweets of the week, making an outrageous, bold, ridiculous claim, but it's also incredibly engaging.
We saw examples where disturbing, shocking content was spread online before it was verified. While live on TV, a reporter from I-24 News said that Hamas had beheaded babies during the October 7th attacks. That clip went viral, and then CNN picked it up. A reporter stated it had happened. But later, an Israeli official came out to say that there have been cases of Hamas militants carrying out beheadings, but could not confirm the age or gender of the victims.
Those do incredibly well analytically. The famous expression, if it bleeds, it leads. There are entities within social media that are trying to ride that euphoria of sharing content like that.
The European Union is now asking social media companies to explain how they deal with misleading content on their platforms. So far, TikTok said it's made moderation changes to the company by adding more moderators who speak Arabic and Hebrew, and by taking action to remove violative content and accounts. Meta also says it's staffed with experts, including fluent Hebrew and Arabic speakers. So far, X's CEO has only responded to the EU's earlier request. In it, she outlined X's content policy rules, but not specific plans for how it's combating current misinformation on the platform. The EU also wants to investigate whether X violated its new law, requiring social media companies to stop the spread of misinformation. But X hasn't responded to their information request. We asked X for an interview about their moderation practices, but we didn't hear back from them by our deadline.